Hey everybody, I'm Katallina, and today we're here to talk about episode 8 of the Misfit of Demon King Academy, season 2, core 2. There was a lot of interesting stuff that happened in today's episode, but for me, I think the most interesting connections and interactions that we actually saw were between one of the students named Naya and the Blaze Death King. He's been kind of an enigma to me this whole season, and it was interesting seeing over the last episode and this episode this slow kind of budgeting connection between him and this student that he's working with, and how this kind of shy and meek student seems like she's starting to take on a more important part of the spotlight, and that she might actually play a major role in what's going on in the story. I think that's really interesting and refreshing, because sometimes characters can kind of just get sort of left behind, and when somebody is more quiet or more timid, that has more of a likeliness to happen. A lot of the characters in this show are super confident. This girl is even more quiet than Misha though, so it was interesting to see her actually end up being quite as important and as prominent as she ended up being here. It was really interesting seeing how, as each of the major characters were able to actually go ahead and touch that ring or get that ring or whatever and be able to summon a dragon, that when it was her turn, her dragon turned out chibi, and it was just so freaking cute. And then something happened. I'm pretty sure that was when the other dragons got consumed by it and the whole cannibal thing went down, and it turned pink. And I was like, okay, this is pretty rad, like the chibi dragon and everything. But that wasn't where it ended. What we end up finding out about Naya is that although she doesn't really have a lot of magical power, what she has instead is essentially the capacity to be a vessel. She has the capacity to actually carry connections with different divine beings, and she is able to do that very well because she has this extra space within her source to be able to do that, whereas most people seem to have more mastery over actually utilizing abilities of their own. We see her make connections with some of the gods that get summoned forward, and then, in the most interesting aspect of this, to me at least, we see the Blaze Death King become the god of order, or at least take on his form that he got a hold of earlier in the story, and we see him actually want to make a pact with Naya. And I'm torn on this. I don't know whether this is a good idea or a bad idea. I feel slightly better since Anos asked Naya what she wanted to do and seemed okay with going along with her decision that she wanted to do this. So if she gets into too much trouble, I'm sure he can do something to help her out or to guide her or whatever. But for now, we'll just have to see exactly how this goes down. I think it was interesting that her wish to connect to the pact was that she wants to continue to be taught by the Blaze Death King forever. And I think this ties back to her self-conscious kind of limited nature, her very shy and very uncertain aspect of her personality. And I hope that while I don't want her to necessarily get a big head and become completely arrogant or anything, that she will start to feel a bit more comfortable, have a bit more self-worth, and feel like she actually can contribute something to what everyone's doing, because that seems to be what she really wants. And I thought that that was really cool. Either way, I think this connection could prove for some interesting storytelling going forward, and I look forward to seeing exactly what goes down. The next thing that we need to talk about is the new dream sequence that we get because of Arcana and Anos actually doing one of those dream connection things again. It was funny to see Sasha and Misha rush in oh my gosh, and flipping out and stuff. It's really interesting because one of the things I praised this show for in the beginning is that although the two of them are hypothetical love interests for Anos in a sense or something, there's always this underlying thing. I mean, back in season 1, Sasha kisses him and all that jazz. But to see that now that there's somebody outside of the two of them who, at least in a way, looks like they're getting involved, I don't think that's actually what's going on here. It's entirely possible that this is the Arcana that is Anos' sister. I don't think anything X-rated is going on here or anything. But to see Misha and Sasha reacting to this is rather amusing. They do a good job at highlighting what's going on with the two girls and what's going on with Arcana and Anos without making anyone seem annoying, and everybody seems ultimately like they're mostly a good sport. I think the most serious thing to consider about everything that happened here actually wasn't in the dream sequence, which was pretty cool, seeing the past, or at least what we perceive to be the past, and seeing tiny Anos again, and seeing him with this little girl that he appears to think was his sister or whatever. It'll be interesting to see just what that actually implies and what it means. But I think the main thing to take away from it actually is when everybody woke up and we realized that Arcana in the present actually tried to give Misha and Sasha a different dream and was trying to share something with them, but that it didn't go through. I wonder why that actually is. Was it because she was supposed to give them the same dream as Anos and that made it screw up? Is it possible that Misha and Sasha have something that is blocking them from connecting to their past memories? Maybe some kind of mental block because something happened in the past that they don't want to remember? Or could there be some kind of magical tampering from someone? There are so many possibilities, considering that there are so many different things people can do in this universe, and it'll be interesting to see what actually ends up being the case and what it was that Arcana was actually trying to get them to remember. I wonder how important it will be to the overall story, or maybe even just to this specific situation. And I wonder whether we will actually get to a point where we will figure out what that is. The last major thing we need to talk about this week is what happened at the end of the episode, because I am going to admit to you guys, I am actually a little bit confused, because I thought that the priest that we dealt with in the first half of this core was the guy named, I think it was like Alhilde or whatever, and now we seem to have the same name popping up again under a different appearance, but still messing around with stuff to do with gods and religion and everything. I wonder now, when Anos sent him back and everything, he sent him back and he was supposed to like renounce his faith and all that. I wonder whether this is the same character and whether we're like in some kind of different loop connecting to that, or whether something else is going on. I will admit again, I am slightly confused. I am very alarmed though to see that this character is showing up and is trying to take away other people's religion and faith from them. I find that incredibly disturbing. And I'm glad to see that Anos doesn't seem to like that idea either. And I really liked seeing Anos respecting this other faith, even though it's not necessarily something that he wants to get involved with or anything specifically. I think it's really important to recognize that regardless of what one believes, that other people are not obligated to believe the same things that you are, or that you do rather. And I think that it was really interesting to see a character as powerful as Anos recognize and respect this. But of course, one thing I will say about all of these situations, whether it's this dream situation that was happening in the middle, or this thing with the connection between Naya and the Blaze Death King, or this ending situation, is that because Anos is so confident in his own abilities and his own power and everything, he doesn't need to control what other people think or feel or do or say in order to actually feel like he has control over his own life. That is one of the distinctions about Anos and one of the things that makes him such a great character. So it was really interesting to see just how that went down in this section. And it'll be fascinating to see what will actually happen in the next episode, since this is our lead-in to what's going to be going on. Overall, I really enjoyed this episode, despite some minor confusions in a couple spots. But I'd love to know what you guys thought, so feel free to drop a comment below and let me know. If you know anything that I've missed, of course, feel free to share. You guys have helped me out a lot this season, and I do truly appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video. Talk to you later. Bye!